All right, Justin. To be perfectly honest, mate, I struggled through a lot of these matches because it was one of those rounds in Super Rugby where it kick-started with the best game of the round, Crusaders versus Brumbies, and then there's talking points from some of the others, but some of the it's a little bit tough to watch. And I want to mention the Hurricanes whipping Moana Pacifica like that, especially. I love the Highlanders winning, of course. But let's go back to Friday night, mate. Crusaders versus Brumbies, and I know that there are some players missing, but what kind of a statement was that from the Crusaders?
It was it was a statement. They got the job done. I felt the competition got robbed of a genuine blockbuster game, to be perfectly honest. The Brumbies unbeaten, coming to New Zealand soil for the first time. Really well drilled outfit with lots of Australians scattered across that team, Australian Test players, and against the Crusaders at home, which is never an easy task at any time. And I thought if Stephen Larkham and his side were ever going to make a statement in this competition, this was their opportunity to do that and to really put the Crusaders on the back foot. However, they opted to rest 7 of their key players, and yes, they still produced a performance that made the game competitive. But I think, really, the mindset for me was not right. I think if they're ever going to win this tournament, the Brumbies, you would probably think it would have to be at home, and they could have controlled a lot of those circumstances had they approached that game with a different attitude.
So what you
I'm not saying they would have won, but they would have had a hell of a lot more chance if they had 7 Australian Wallabies in their side than the ones that they left at home sitting watching it from Canberra, that's for sure.
Yeah, they've got the Waratahs this coming Saturday. So what you're thinking is they're thinking, oh, okay, let's just cut our losses. We're probably not going to beat them at home, so therefore let's keep our powder dry for later in the competition. Do you think it was a case of that?
Possibly, but why do that?
Yeah, why?
If you're going to win this competition, you've got to take on the difficult task that the competition presents you, and this was one of those. And that imagine the confidence you get out of it as well. That you can come to New Zealand should you have to at some stage and need to win a big game. You can do that. And I really question whether or not that was a game they could have targeted, and equally they could have really made life a hell of a lot more difficult for what was an injury-riddled Crusaders team as well. Like no Whitelock, the other stars like your Havili, Severises, all those sorts of players are out. Cullen Grace is still out. Playing Fergus Burke at fullback, still no Will Jordan. That will be a different outfit come the next time the Brumbies might have to face them. So, yeah, look, the Waratahs aren't playing well enough. The Brumbies probably would be able to take care of them with the side that played the Crusaders on Friday night, and still come to New Zealand and really taking the Crusaders on. So yeah, I'm not a fan of what they did. I think they could have been better.
Marshy, what are we meant to read into? I think and I texted you this, and we spoke about it a week or so ago. Okay, when I see guys like Leicester in form, Talia in form, Stevenson in form, what are we meant to read into this? It's only a few weeks into it. But in World Cup year, it takes on more importance because we're obviously going to be selecting a World Cup squad. What are we meant to take when a guy is playing as well as Leicester right now?
I think we've got to make sure that what the All Black environment offers these players is the same environment that is enabling them to play well now. And that doesn't seem to have been the case recently. And I certainly feel that, yes, it's a Rugby World Cup and everybody is a bit unsure of how the All Blacks are going to go given current performances and the fact that we're not on top of the world anymore. But the only way to change that in my mind is to change the way we're playing, not just slightly, but change it reasonably significantly, so that we're not painting the same picture that has become easy to break down and teams are now consistently beating the All Blacks, the top teams in the world are, and equally throw out players that they haven't seen a lot of, because these players won't be playing with any weight on their shoulders. It's their possibly first Rugby World Cup, and they'll just be excited to be there and be themselves without the weight of an expectation of an Aaron Smith or a Whitelock or a Taylor or some of those seasons All Blacks who knows this is it. This is all I've got left, So it comes a little bit of baggage with that. That's why I think these guys have just got to keep playing well, and then it's about whether or not the selectors and the coach of the All Blacks are brave enough to pick them in a Rugby World Cup squad.
Justin Marshall is with us. 81 tests for the All Blacks on the sideline for Sky Sport, of course. Okay, I mean, a couple of things worry me about this points table. One of them is that there's more than half the sides under the 500. They've lost more games than they've won. But I just want to have a quick word about the Hurricanes beating Moana Pacifica by 59-0 before we move on to the Highlanders. They're 0-5 now, MP. And they're getting cut adrift at the bottom of the table. And no one wants to. No one wants to see, I suppose, any team being like that and getting beaten like this every week. What is the answer for them?
Rediscover their mojo. I feel that they certainly addressed a big problem for them at the end of last year's campaign, which was set piece in particular. They were weak in that department, and when they got into contests, opposition teams all of a sudden found a way break them down through scrum or line out more. They've certainly shored up that area. They look, although still not without fault, they are much, much better in that department. But it seems that that's been a heavy focus for them, and it's gone away from what makes them good. And at the moment, they are, yes, a lot better in that area, but their expressiveness, the nature and the DNA that within those players and the way they want to play their rugby is missing. So the balance is off now. So I know it's like everybody's going, well, what do they do? Do they get better in that area? But yet, they're not as good as what they are with the ball in hand because they're focused too much on it. It's a double-edged sword, but I feel that they've got to just be more expressive. They're playing insular, and it's just not suiting their style. So that would be my message to that side of your balance is off. Maybe concede a little bit at set piece, but get back to playing the type of rugby that makes you happy and makes you dangerous.
Well, not going to get any easier for them because they do host the Highlanders this coming Friday night. That's the opening match of round 6, and the Highlanders 57-24 over the Fijian and Drua. Back-to-back wins then. I'm pleased for Clark Dermody because he's such a good dude, and again, starting the way that they had, losing those first 3 matches, and they were a bloody tough schedule in that. But they've taken care of business 2 weeks in a row. So what do you expect from them now?
Yeah, they have, and I certainly feel that the challenge in Invercargill was a difficult one. They suffered so much adversity during the week in the lead up to this Drua game. The players that got ruled out, and then literally, mate, I was very thankful for having not just one, but 2 cartridges of Twink on me at the weekend because, oh my God, the amount of changes I had to make to the team, to my my intro team read. They lost players. They were losing players like flies. They lost Winton in the warm-up. They lost Timu just before the game. They lost, I don't know, they lost about 6 players. So they are really taxed against the wall at the moment. They had a tough start because they had all 3 Kiwi teams, and that wasn't an easy ask. So getting away from that and playing the Force and the Drua, who were off on the day, they didn't play well, the Drua, which really helped their cause. Certainly put them in good stead, and they're in a better place now, but they've still got some challenges in front of them because of their injury problems, and yeah, it's just going to be a tough old grind for them, Marty. I know it looks better on paper with the 2 wins, but it's just still going to be hard work for them and going forward in the next month.
I thought the Chiefs game on Friday night was one of those games that if you're going to win this competition, you've just got to get the win. And it's always a tough place to go in New South Wales and play them over there, isn't it? But they took care of business. And then you look at the Blues, who, a reduced side for them in front of no crowd. The crowd was at the Warriors yesterday. It wasn't at Eden Park. I don't know what to read into that or how much of a worry it is, but I think when you don't have your star players out, makes a hell of a difference. And also that they were obviously looking ahead to this game, Blues away at the Chiefs on Saturday night. So, again, I don't know whether or not the way that they played is going to be indicative of the way they're going to attack that Chiefs side. It's going to be a cracker of a game. But how impressed are you with the Chiefs, first and foremost, just going away and winning a game like that?
I think you nailed it, and what you said. You're absolutely bang on. You've done your research. Good work, Marty.
Thank you.
Good sides just need to go, and at times probably go into a different environment and big occasion like Damien McKenzie's 100th. So there's a lot of attention on one player. But ultimately, on a night where you're probably not at your best and the opposition are niggly, just get the job done. That's what really good sides do. And I've seen them do that twice so far this season. I don't think that they were by any means at the best against the Highlanders, who were really struggling at the time. And the Highlanders came out and played with a bit of grit, and everyone said, the Highlanders have massively improved and they look much, much better. And I thought to myself, the Chiefs were just off on the night. They weren't their usual fluid self, but they still got the result. And it was the same situation at the weekend. Fittingly, they managed to give Damien McKenzie a win too, which he thoroughly deserved, being the player that he is. Equally, yeah, who the hell does the scheduling, mate? Like, honestly, the Blues force at the same time as the Warriors. I think the All Whites are playing at the same time as well. It was like, mate, you'd have to be an expert channel flicker to keep up with all that. But, yeah, I must admit, I watched probably 30 minutes of the Blues game and thought, yep, it's inevitable now what's going to happen, and I flicked over and watched the Warriors. Can't take much out of that game. Leon knew that he could rest quite a few players, give some other guys some game time, like Sam Knox. Sullivan got a game as well. They got a couple of injuries too. I think Choate played open side, Papali'i was missing. Look, they did what they needed to do, and yeah, it was just one of those. I think when you started this interview, you said, yeah, a bit of a funny old round, not sure
it was.
How to make it, but probably fitting way to round it up, saying, yeah, what was supposed to happen happened somehow.
And you watch the Warriors. What do you think of that, mate? I mean, look, you've got to say, regardless, I mean, this is a team that, Justin, you've been involved in high-level sport for so long. When a new coach comes in and he actually really imprints himself on players and a side, this is a Warriors side that I know would have given up that game. As soon as Ado Carr scored that try, they would have given up last year and shipped another 20 points. He's made a mindset change. How much of that is him actually dictating, how much of that is him infusing in players to believe in yourselves, believe in the training and the systems that you've done? Because, I mean, it's palpable, it's visible in front of you. There is a change going on there.
But all of that, that's exactly what it is. You know, you can create the best game plan and recruit the most genius players that are in the game, but unless they have that grit and that fight when things don't quite go their way and they get behind, or the opposition are having their moments and all of a sudden you're chasing the game, to actually stay in the fight, it's almost uncoachable, because players need to believe themselves that the coach isn't going to come up with a miracle from the coaching box. He's just got to tell them and reinforce to them, believe in the work that you've done in the off season. You've got bigger engines. You can stay in this. You can fight your way back into it. You guys have just got to stay galvanised on the field and get through those tough moments in the game. Whereas tough moments in the game, historically, the Warriors would drop their lip and the game would get away on them. They did stay in the fight yesterday, and that's most impressive. I don't think they've got the razzle-dazzle of Warrior teams in the past, but they've got much, much more fight and maturity about them to get themselves back into the game. They play percentages a lot better, and before that, they're winning tight games, which was brilliant to see. I enjoyed it. It was a good afternoon. I sat down with my beer, and I was most impressed, because I usually get frustrated with them.
Two quick questions to go, Justin Marshall. All right, Swali'i goes from the Roosters. He signed a big fat paycheck deal with Australian Rugby. Is this what Australian Rugby needs, to take a guy like Joseph? He's a winger / fullback. He's 19 years old. He's going to go over. He's going to play the Lions. He might play the World Cup. Look, he'll probably go back to league. Is this really what Australia needs? I know it makes good headlines for Eddie Jones and Australian Rugby and everything, but you know, I kind of look at these things and I think they can backfire in your face just as quickly. Is he going to be a great player? Is he going to actually help them win test matches? Is he going to walk into a dressing room where the rest of the players go, well, look at you, Flash boy, you're earning twice as much as the rest of us?
Yeah, and it is a gamble because of that. He has played some rugby before, which I guess genuinely helps. But he's an athlete, there's no doubt about it. He's fast, he's big, he's strong, he's good in the air, so he ticks all the right boxes for a rugby union fullback. He's young and obviously enthusiastic to play rugby. You know, he wouldn't be signing a deal like he has otherwise, and there would be plenty of clubs in the NRL chasing him, offering him pretty big money as well. So he's obviously motivated too. So that's a good win already, if you've got all of those boxes ticked. Haven't really seen that come out of a league player since Kyron Betty, I don't think. They had big raps on Vunivalu out of the Storm, but he's been plagued by injuries and hasn't really kicked on. So, yeah, maybe there's something there that Eddie Jones has seen, not only recently with his NRL, but in historic rugby games from his past, that he believes that he can be a genuine superstar. So, yeah, I think the fact that all of those boxes that I mentioned have been ticked, it sounds like the guy's got a good head on his shoulders and he really wants to do something in rugby union. Good luck to him.
All right, and so are you joining Razor's coaching staff? Because I'm just ticking off. I'm just ticking off names here, mate. I'm just ruling it out. That's all, just in case.
Hey, look, mate. I would never say no to having any involvement with the All Blacks. So if my phone rings and Raiders say, can you come and help us out in a certain area or do something, I'd certainly be saying yes. But that is not happening right now. So rest assured, the answer at this stage is no. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't say yes if he offered me up to do some form of a role.